Wolf, despite the global implications that would follow if North and South Korea went to full-on war, the truth is the Korean peninsula would really bear the brunt of all of this, and that's where most of the fighting would take place. So we know that the DMZ between the South and the North is so heavily fortified that neither side can just charge in and go across that land to attack the other. So if the North wanted to step this up and make it happen, what do?
Tom, the very first thing we're going to see is large concentrations of artillery and missile fire from the north against targets in the south, for example, Seoul, which is just a little south of the DMZ. What's interesting is those firing positions are on the north slope of the mountains that define the DMZ. Very difficult for the coalition forces in the south to see those pieces before they're activated.
So while that firing is occurring from these mountains down here, what else is going on from the north?
The north is going to activate the insertion of special operations forces, both along the coasts.
Taking them in by ship or by submarine?
By submarines, most likely, as well as the activation of sleeper agents that have been in the South, in some cases as many as a couple of decades, identifying targets for these missiles and for these artillery pieces.
Okay, the U.S. and South Korea is not just going to sit there while all of this happens. So what is the immediate response if such an attack took place?
Number one is the U.S. Navy will increase its presence. For example,
more aircraft carriers,
more
destroyers, whatever
more
it takes.
Aircraft is what we're looking for. So you have aircraft that's in Japan, you have aircraft that's in South Korea. You now have these aircraft to go against these firing positions that are targeting the South. It's called the counterfire fight. And once that's accomplished, they will then go after the command and control capabilities as well as the air defenses.
Communications, air defenses,
you
all
got
of that,
it.
so they can control the sky.
Completely own this airspace above North Korea.
And then what happens?
Then they're probably going to go after some very specific targets like bridging in the north to eliminate the freedom of movement so these North Korean forces cannot maneuver in their own country.
All right, so if all of that happens, obviously you have a shift in the battle. The North takes the initiative to start the attack, but then the South and the U.S. responds. How quickly does it turn so that the initiative is not in the hands of the North, but is in the hands of the U.S. and the coalition
Tom, what's important to realize is the coalition, U.S. and South Korean response will be instantaneously. However, the control of that will be over the course of probably 3 to 4 days, and the momentum will shift toward the coalition. And their objective is to maintain the armistice.
But you don't think this is going to happen? You think ultimately this is not what's going to happen?
Not at all. I think the risks
worst-case scenario
are way too high. The North understands that, and the United States and South Korea certainly understand that.
So what would we expect?
Mostly limited objective attacks. Not unlike what we saw before.
When they bombed those islands, when they attacked the boat off the coast, that sort of thing.
You've got it, where the North Koreans will go after South Korean-specific targets, not targeting the United States, and try to keep it contained somewhat.
And yet send a very clear message that they have a strong new leader and a strong military, and that they still need to be respected in that way in the world.